committee together because I've been working at this and it's just not been easy. It's just not been easy, and maybe there are people who are passionate about it, and you're right. And you know, part of this is too is Cancia is going through a phase where they have a new board coming on, and they're looking for a new president. So we're also trying to find our way in terms of what the relationship might be with Cancia. So there's a lot of stuff to figure out in the next couple of months, but there is no question that we have not seen any association pour money into doing an effective PR campaign, and it's time that we do that.
Rick Walmer, down to Solar. Anybody in the solar industry can tell you that 10 kilowatts is low for a microfit. If you try and do a fit contract versus a microfit contract, the fit contract process is absolutely brutal. And the number of customers I've talked to that we could have at the 10 to 30 kilowatt range, I think everybody in this room would stand up and cheer if we recognize the fact that that's a good level of implementation for the amount of paperwork you've got to do versus if I go from 10 to 11 kilowatts for my customers. We had one customer. He said, okay, I'd like to go from 10 to 20. I said, hold it, we're going from microfit to fit. And when he found out the unbelievable amount of paperwork you had to go just to go from 10 to 20 kilowatts was unbelievable and cost prohibitive in terms of a business model.
So let me just add, I've heard a couple of people now mention 30. Just, did you stand up and cheer if we got a 30?
30 is not a number we pulled out of the air. If you take a look at the average business owner with their size of roof, the people that are driving Ontario, they're the people that are interested in doing solar. But when you ask them to go from 10 kilowatts to 30 kilowatts and they see what's involved, they walk away.
So can you send us some data, some case studies, just something simple that we can start to put together?
I think everybody in this room could do that. They're in the business. Anybody here tried to do that?
So I'm actually going to just send us, hey, this was a building that I could have put 30 kilowatts on, but it just didn't happen because the rules are foreboding.
If that's the biggest thing you take away today, I think it's the most important because you've put great numbers on the table for what I can see. We can all debate where the percentages should be for your three models up there, but in reality, if you're going to do business in Ontario, you should definitely look at the microfit process for 30 kilowatts because once you get into fit, nobody wants to touch the timeline, the economics. 2 years, try and get financing, that was touched. And try and get people to give you proper pricing for 2 years, that was not touched. I don't know why anybody did not cover the backdating issue. The backdating issue is absolutely brutal for anybody who's sitting in this room who's got a business because we all got blindsided. And is there not legal issues around that too that I've heard bill whatever and nobody's even touched on the legalities? I mean, where does class action suit come in and nobody's standing up and talking about that? If there's legalities, why don't we use class action suit to address it with the government?
Well, I just want to say in particular, we're looking at that December 14th deadline, which I should also say is a false deadline, and the reason why we're trying to get this done by the 5th is because decisions are already being made. Okay? Don't think that, oh, you can put it in December 14th. We've got to shape the thinking now. You should be writing an op-ed piece. We got to start getting the message out now because people are thinking and making decisions. It's not like he's going to take all the information on the 14th and try to figure it out. Thoughts are being formed right now. We want to stay away from class action or anything like that until after this process. Right now it's recommendations about going forward, never to backdate again. And everybody wanted to speak about backdating here. One of the things we just said, well, so-and-so's going to speak about. It's almost like the most obvious thing. You can't do that. That's so detrimental to the industry. But you're right, we have to be loud and clear, and that should be right at the top. So
pure and simple, if they've breached something from a legal point of view, why would we have a class class actions.
Well,
Especially
I think
it
they're well
involves some-
aware. I think they're
Well, I will tell you this, that I know the lawyer who represents the OPA would be on the other side, and he said, you won't win. I mean, they've written, you know, that you won't win. But he did say this, you will win politically if you make enough noise and you get enough people together, that it's harming the industry, it's hurting people's livelihoods, so I just, the little that we looked into this, it was like, well, that's not, legal is not the way to go, it's political. And so we gotta get political.
Yeah, but legal would certainly bring it front and center, and Jacob, to come right back to what you said, we're not vocal enough, we're not active enough. How come nobody is throwing out class action as a way of getting their attention? And by the way, there is a legal issue on the table, and it's being violated, and we all walk away from it.
So I'm inviting you then to be part, let's create the legal committee here, and even if we can't win, I think you're right, let's make a case that this is, look at the damage that's being done, there's been some violation of a rule. So,
anyhow, I put a few points on the table, but the number one
Thank
thing
you.
is 30 kilowatt makes sense for everybody in this room who's trying to do anything, if you're going to do anything at all, and make it microfit. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we have time for a couple more comments and then some closing remarks. And, oh, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, just speaking to some of the points, I think this meeting is more, in a sense, we've had a small committee internally, formed a committee to come forward with some ideas. And the idea of a town hall was to bring opinions here and get new ideas. So with respect to, legal options or with regards to some of the suggestions on numbers, that's where input's needed. But in terms of, raised hands, or I think this and that, I would say write in as well. It's very important to get the input and also put the names of your businesses and companies in there too, to say, this is my position and point, so that you can take forward a larger representation when you're going to speak to government. I mean, it's good to say, oh, if I get to the table with government, this is what you should say, but are you at the table? And you have more chance of sitting at the table if you're representing more interests. And from my perspective, if you're running a startup business in a nascent industry, you also got to understand that industry and the curveballs in it. And this one is affected by government stuff. So, you know what? It's tight right now. It's tough. My clients see it as very tough. My dad's in the business. He's doing a microfit business. He's been doing it for 5 or 6 years. They're having tough times. But the fact is, you also have to get involved in the, the issues that affect your business, and then this one is government. And if you can't do that on your own, then you got to take all the forms. I'm not even saying it could be on Terra Solar Network, CanSIA, OSIA. That should be a big part of the business to keep the industry moving. I mean, there's pain points on new industries, and that's unfortunately where things sit. So that's just a point I wanted to make. I think it's important.
So let's get a couple of quick more points or questions. Any last comments from the group? And I know Graham, you want a few closing remarks, and I want to just make a point or two. So
very fast. I was the first audience here. I think to myself, I'm people going to argue with the matter. I'm the devil's advocate. Anyway, people have brought up here Germany, right? The reason alternate energies work in Germany, the fossil fuel prices are double Canada, number one. Number two, they signed the Kyoto Agreement. You are saying Canada has not. They penalize those uses of fossil fuel with taxation. We don't do that. Canadian government didn't sign that thing. That's a simple answer why Germany is moving ahead with alternate energy, including solar. Same thing with Finland. I come from Finland, same thing there.
all right.
The government did not sign the Kyoto Agreement.
Okay. Thank you for your point.